Alright, here's part 3, everybody. As the heavy topmast slid into the hole, the men on the collar pushed a massive wooden pin through to secure it, and there was a cheer from the crowd. The crew began to load bags of barrels of sweet potatoes, salt, pork, fresh water, and hardtack on board. I probably enjoy the sweet potatoes and the pork and the water. Anyway, and the next morning at sunrise, the spring was only a black dot on the horizon. Sylvester Pond was on board, drawn by the magnet of faraway places and more whaling. He would go with the other whalers to Spitzberg. He would hunt down whatever right whales were left to be hunted across the Arctic. Some of his letters to Virginia were like the promises of a drinking man. I'm swearing off whales, and this will be my last voyage, he would tell her. But that would be when week after week went by and no whales were sighted. It was then he would write of his longing to be back with her on the Outer Banks and how he would return and settle down forever. When she didn't hear from him for a time, she knew the whalers were successful, and finally a letter would arrive, hastily scrawled, filled with a story of the chase. Page after page she would pore over the words, so laden with excitement that she could hear the whale's deep snorting screams and the hoarse shouts of the men in the boats. It's in the marrow of the bones, she would think. He would follow the whales wherever they go in their migrations, and he will never settle down to the life of the Outer Banks banker. The men on her island were shore-based whalers during the season. Then the rest of the year they engaged in the quite quiet occupation of mullet fishing. 4 years went by until Sylvester Pond sailed into Cape Lookout Bight once more. There was little of the boy to be seen in the muscular, broad-shouldered young man. He had disembarked from the small cargo whose captain had agreed to put into Shackleford Banks for some barrels of the fine quality salt mullet produced in the area. It was a warm July afternoon as he walked down the path beside the dunes toward Virginia's home, hoping she would be there, anticipation how she would look when she saw him. But there was no answer at the front door of the Davis home, and he thought she must be at the summer church camp on the island. Then he had a deep sense of dread. He wondered with a frightened, empty feeling if she had married. Hey, you had your chance and you blew it, basically. Should he go to the village and ask? He walked around thinking he would drink from the pump at the rear of the house. And then he saw her in the garden. She had her back turned. It had been 4 long years. Would there be a ring already on her finger? Her long hair rippled down to her waist, brown with the same tawny flecks of gold he remembered. His apprehension was so great that he was unable to speak. Finally she turned, looked at him, and smiled. In that smile he read his future. Like his friend Chadwick and many a New Englander before him, he would adapt to the way of life here on Banks. There would be quiet months of fishing in the Bight or banding together with other fishermen to work the mullet nets at dawn. Sylvester Pond would look forward to the shore whaling in the spring, but he would never put to sea on a whaler again. I am so sorry, folks. I'm not good with like editing videos into one video yet, so I'm sorry this had to be like a 3-part, but I didn't know the story was going to be that long. But anyway, it says down here, this is a true story told by a member of the family of how Sylvester Pond fought unconsciousness on the beach after a shipwreck near Cape Lookout Lighthouse. Later returned to the island to marry Virginia. He married Virginia Davis. Good for you. New blood had come to these remote islands for every shipwrecked whaling sloop in the war. All right, that's going to be it for this book for right now, folks. So don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on those post notifications, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.